Alrighty then, it's time for a Jungle Olaf game, and this one has been heavily requested since he became competitive again. However, I haven't really had a lot of footage for Olaf because of a lot of misfortunes. Every game I play with Olaf, something bad happens. Either my opponents have a DC, so the footage is pretty bad, or in the case of the last Olaf game I played, I had a DC, so it became a 4v5. The game before that, I had someone who was super pissed that I got jungle, so he double jungled and pretty much trolled me the entire game. Anyways, I finally have a video of Olaf, so hooray! Anyways, runes and masteries: attack damage red, attack damage quints, armor yellow, and magic resistance blues. 12, 0, 18. However, you can take whatever you pretty much want on him. Some people like taking armor pen reds and quints, some people like taking attack speed quints, some people like movement speed, some people like cooldown reduction blues and cooldown reduction quints to go some super cooldown reduction build with like frozen heart and stuff, and then the cutting tree, and so on and so forth. You can pretty much take a lot of builds as Olaf. However, while he may be very versatile pre-game builds, in-game he's not as malleable as you'd want him to be, or at least anymore. See, Olaf has that interesting issue in that he has a lot of builds he can take, a lot of viable builds, damage builds, tank builds, cooldown reduction builds, aura builds, all the good stuff. However, once he dedicates himself to a certain kind of build, he can't really alternate it, he can't really change things up. He's got to go for broke, essentially. So it's not really a problem for experienced Olaf players or people who, understand the tide of the game. But if you just sort of do it willy-nilly at the beginning of the game, you might end up coming out short. So Olaf really punishes those players who aren't paying attention or who don't plan ahead. So keep that in mind if you try to play him. Otherwise, pretty much irrelevant once you become experienced with him, since you should know what to build. Anyhow, Olaf right now is being picked again in competitive. He's used more as a sort of aggro magnet. If you remember what I said about aggro magnets, it's the tank echo thing, in which you can't kill people super brutally quickly. You can't like just insta burst them like an assassin, but they can't really kill you. And you're gonna attract the attention of the enemy, because even though they can't kill you, or even though your damage is not a lot, you will eventually kill them. There's nothing they can do about it. So they're going to be forced to focus fire you. But by focus firing you, they're doing exactly what you want them to do, because it's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources. So it's pretty damn grim in that situation for anyone against aggro magnets, and I guess Olaf is just the next evolution of it. Plus, he also does counter some of the AD carries that are starting to become prevalent again, namely Ashe. Ashe is being picked even more often now, and Olaf just smashes Ashe. He smashes so much Ashe, just pounds through the Ashe, right? So he's being picked for that reason alone. I mean, a little while ago, even before Olaf started being picked in competitive, I had a little moment that my fans just were laughing their asses off when, like, I didn't mean to pick Olaf because I picked Olaf the game prior to that. And then in this game I was playing a probably Skarner, but the enemy first insta-picked Ashe and Janna, and immediately I said, nope, I gotta go Olaf. This is like the perfect setup. Olaf just runs Ashe down. And that's exactly what happened. Any team fight early on, I just sort of ran at Ashe and there was nothing she could do. She would just immediately blow up. Like here, just there's nothing the enemy can really do to slow me down once I have Ghost, especially the new damn Ghost. There's nothing pretty much they can do. They have to sort of focus fire me if they want any results, but focus firing me again is flat out stupid. It's, I guess, the evolution of the tanks that used to exist. Like, it's sort of like the cycle that goes with tanks. Sometimes you have the initiators, sometimes you have the bodyguards, and now you have the aggro magnets. So, it's just Olaf is just seemingly falling into the meta rather than creating it. And that's perfectly fine, but we've seen in the past what happens to Olaf. Whenever Olaf becomes competitive, if he ever becomes a dominating force, then Riot is forced to nerf him because of his insanely powerful ultimate and the amount of damage he can do ridiculously quick even with just tank items. He's like a different version of Dr. Mundo, so to speak. I know I'm not commentating too much on this game, but as you can see, we're sort of crushing him really brutally. I just want to point out a certain strategy that I went for in this game, and why I decided to go full-on aggro magnet Olaf in this one. Look at my team composition. Katarina, Akali, Olaf, Brandon, Ezreal. We won't have a late game if we get crushed early. So I don't normally play super like crazy aggressive or anything. Hell, in the gank up there against the Lee Sin who chased after my Akali teammate, you saw me that I didn't want to dive Shen or do anything immediately. I was backing off until Shen decided to stay. Normally I would have just not taking risks. But now look at this risk here on Janna. I go full on crazy ham, and I screw up a little bit because I get a little too tense. And I do kill her, but I end up dying for it. Normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm getting super, worried about my team composition. If we don't, just absolutely smash them, we'll get smashed. And I was a little bit worried because of the early invasion of the Katarina being the sort of making me feel like maybe my teammates are going to get a little too greedy with kills. And like here, the Ezreal too. They'll get a little too greedy with kills and sort of screw the game. So I was getting a little too tense about that. So yeah, I made a massive mistake on the Janna one, and I sort of told myself at this point to calm down. But that's the whole premise I had with Olaf right now. I have 6 kills. I had 6 kills on him, and I went with Titanic Hydra instead of the original plan of going with Spirit Visage into Rando and Zoman and sort of just making me an aggro magnet. Still, Titanic Hydra is damn good, and I still can be the aggro magnet I wanted to be. In general, my strategy this game was to be Olaf, be an aggro magnet, and just hopefully try to absorb as much CC and damage the enemy can deal to me or is willing to contribute to me, so my Akali and Katarina can get all their resets and just sort of go ham on them. Basically, when I'll tank the turret shots, I'll get so walloped. The enemy will focus me a little bit, and hopefully I lowered somebody's health down enough for Akali and Katarina to jump in and just start wrecking shit. And it's been working out so far. You've seen me and them two sort of work together to just pick off people. And sort of, they can't cross me because I'll do a lot of damage if ignored. But again, I mean, they really can't do very much. Also, something interesting I found out in this game that I was playing today. I didn't even know that Olaf's ultimate no longer triggers these Caitlyn traps. Like, I tried walking all over them. You'll see that in a different clip in this. And I only popped one, and then the rest didn't pop. I wonder if that's intentional. Anyways, pop my ultimate, absorb some damage, and then sort of just back away because mostly my Katarina already killed a vital target. But then this resulted in my teammates going a little too ham and getting themselves killed. This is exactly what I was afraid of. They'll go a little too ham, get themselves killed, and we'll lose the advantage. We can't win actual team fights. We have to sort of cheese a fight to occur. Thankfully, some of their teammates are just as, poor in positioning, that they're getting themselves shot down and allowing us not to be totally punished. We've also essentially gained a lot of map control. If you watch the early game of my early game as Olaf, I was working a lot for map control. I bought Red Tricking earlier than I normally would on a lot of champions. I was warding some deeper wards, taking care of the Scoto Crab if I could. Generally just sort of hunting down the Lee Sin. And in chat, I mean, you can't see in a replay. In chat, I was telling my teammates, here's a Lee Sin, watch out for Lee Sin and whatnot. But in one case, it ended up Katarina getting a little too aggressive and then dying. By the way, once again, if you hear any noises, it's just kids again having a pool party. Always pool parties in summer. Anyways, now I'm just sort of trying to force them to come back to me over here, keeping them away from my minions if I can, so my minions can at least sort of push. If they engage on me, obviously it's not going to be worth anything. Unfortunately, my Akali teammate gets herself killed, and we're forced to sort of back away. We're just sort of now having to wait for one of them to slip up so we can kill them rather easily. Ezreal goes in for the push, and thankfully this cannon minion with the Baron buff is able just to wallop on the turret for quite a while. The enemy team got weakened, but they're going to have a chance to go home and heal themselves. Now here's what I mean by the Olaf ultimate sort of just getting only one trap. I pop one trap and the other rest just sort of don't pop. So I guess that's something new. Here I take a shitload of aggro, and I mean, I didn't want to die, but it works out for the best, since with my death, they just pretty much focused the wrong people, so Akali and Katarina got to just absolutely ass blast the enemy team, although Katarina just died right now anyways, and with that we pretty much secure the win. So I didn't want to die, but it worked out for the best because it took away Shen and Lee Sin from actually doing something to the right targets. Either way, hooray for Olaf being competitive again. He's actually someone exciting to watch in competitive, so actually look forward to watching the games he's in. Hooray! Hooray for the Vikings. This channel is supported by my sponsors, Crunchyroll and Loot Crate. Check out the description below for links to the websites. Signing up for any trials, including Crunchyroll's free anime trial, greatly supports my channel. Also remember to give the video a like to support the channel and subscribe if you haven't yet. I've also made a Patreon now, and if you wish to support me through that medium, then I welcome it.